What's going on? Jim Hall here. Should be joined here momentarily by a couple of my friends. Let me make sure that this is working over on YouTube. And I don't know why, but it doesn't look like it is. Like it is. All right, so we are live. Like I said, I should be being joined here soon by Lewy and Robbin, or maybe some other people. Tonight, what we're going to be talking about is we're going to be talking about discipline. We're going to be talking about things that you could or should do to, improve your position in life, in all of life. How do you become more valuable in the marketplace? Jim Rohn talks about, people being valuable, being a valuable brother, being a valuable member of the family, being a valuable member of the team. But we're talking more specifically about how to be more valuable in your business or maybe in your job, right? My name's Jim Hall. I've been marketing online for 20, 25 years, something like that. I mean, I've been marketing online since 94, 95. How long is that? That's a long time. Since before the internet was really, what we know of as the internet nowadays. It was just a few bulletin boards here and there, and I was doing stuff way before anybody else. I was one of the first people I knew that had email. So, I've been doing this a really long time. I've learned a lot. I've made a lot of money, and I've had some struggles too. And I always try to figure out the ways to do things more efficiently. And so that's what we're going to be talking about a little bit tonight is, ways to do things more efficiently. Things like hanging out with the right people, right? If you get around negative people, you tend to get into a place of negativity, and then you could be spreading the wrong message around, not even really realizing it, because that's who you're around. And so your message will start to get convoluted, will start to get watered down, if you want to call it that, and you'll start sharing the wrong message. You'll start sharing more negativity than positively. When I was in Iraq in the war, I listened to Eminem a lot. And because a lot of the guys I was around listened to Eminem a lot. So I found that listening to Eminem, and I like Eminem's music, don't get me wrong, but if I listen to it a lot, I end up being really hateful and in a bad place. So I try not to listen to that kind of music. Here, Robin Williams is coming on now. Robin Williams, like me, I was in the military. Robin is still in the military. She said her computer's running slow tonight. I don't know what's up. Her computer is showing a big black screen, big gray screen, really. Robin, we're not seeing you. And you are muted if you don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to fix that now.
I hear you now, but I still see a big gray screen. I see you now.
Yeah, wrong camera.
So I was just giving us the intro that, how to be better in the marketplace. That's kind of what we're covering tonight, and ways that we could do that. I've always heard, when you go on a job interview, you should probably even clean your car, right? Make sure that you don't let your boss see that you have a dirty car, because it can look bad on the way that you run your life, right? So that's part of some of the things we're talking about. In the military, they teach us, first thing in the morning, jump up, make your bed, right? Because it's part of discipline, and it will pour over into the rest of your life. We were watching Space Force, I think it's called Space Force, with Steve Carell. And there's a scene in there when he jumps out of bed. And as soon as he jumps out of bed, he makes his bed up real quick. And he goes and he looks in the mirror or something, and he comes back and he lays back down. And I thought that was just really funny. Like, that's the way I am too. As soon as I get out of bed, no matter what, I'm making my bed so that I don't get anything into my bed, and I do think it pours over into things, anything I decide to do, I can do just because I have the discipline to do it. And and I don't have a wavering sense about me, and I do credit that a lot to the military, even though I was kind of late going into the military and kind of set in my ways already, but I learned a lot about discipline and the flows of life in that kind of aspect. What's going on, Robbin? Anything new this week?
What up? Yeah, I think new, probably not so much new, but more of a reminder for me this week.
Yeah.
Kind of
I
like,
have a,
oh, go
I have
ahead.
a new green screen that pulls down behind me. Look at that. That's pretty cool, huh?
Nice.
And but
Now we just gotta hope it don't flip up like one of them cartoons.
yeah, it might do that. And the problem is I don't really like my camera angle because where I put my camera at usually, you can see my whole bed there. So I have to put my camera on the other side, and I'm not really getting very used to it. I need to put this over here. That'll help if I put the screen, the video screen over there. So anyways, so yeah, that's really about all that's going on new. I shouldn't have to fight it so much. It does blow around a little bit. It needs to be a little bit heavier.
You should see my screen. I'm like, Lord, you look like a ghost right now. I'm like, this computer.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if I can get a print screen to
what if
show
I
you.
shine my light on me a little more? Does that help?
No, it's my computer. Like literally the whole Zoom looks like a ghost. But I'm, as long as you can still hear me, I don't know if it froze up or
I
something.
can hear you and I can see you really clear,
Okay.
actually. Probably the
Okay.
clearest I've ever seen you before.
All right, cool.
So your camera at least is working really well.
Yeah. All right. There we go. So I fixed my side.
So tonight we're going to lean heavy on Robbin and her. She's been training on this material lately, she said. And so we'll lean heavy on her and pop in here and there. And hopefully we get some more visitors coming. I don't know who's coming tonight or not. Last week we had a full house, and this week I was nervous. I was going to be by myself. I was like,
yeah, my computer was like super slow. So I do apologize about that. And I'm like, well, add being late to the meetings on my list of self-improvement.
Right.
So
right.
and
if you're late here, you're liable to be late everywhere, right?
Exactly. Right. And I don't even like work. I'm like, I get there when I get there. You know what I mean? But in some instances, I'm typically on like really important stuff. I'm typically, not that my business isn't important, but I'm typically there kind of early because I know myself. Like if I was on time all the time, I'd probably be on time. But because I know myself, I'm typically at very important meetings or appointments early because I know myself. Right. But basically, in the past couple weeks, I would say I was thinking about kind of simplicity, and I started going through some training that was talking about not just simplicity, but just clarity in the mind, clarity in your space, clarity in your house, like all my little stuff here not to include the empty soda bottle, and not to include the pencil sharpener. That stuff was supposed to be somewhere hanging beautifully up, when I moved here a year ago. So just looking at everything in general in your house and how you run your life, because like you said, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. Because that can bleed into other areas of your life, just to look at them and see if you could fix them. And honestly, I think I talked to you over Messenger. I was like, even just thinking about doing a massive cleanup in my house, getting rid of a whole bunch of stuff that I don't need. That kind of brings me anxiety because I have that FOMO of like fear of missing out, on marketing, fear of missing out on showing up in my business. And personally, I think it hits me because I've been through phases to where I showed up like 0 times, like absolutely not at all in my business. A few times, like a lot of times, it was like a cycle, a habit. And so with this, the 30-minute workday and everything was like the longest streak that I had in my business, right? And so even when I get to the point where I just want to lay down and chill, I just try to, acknowledge, okay, I want to relax, but I try to get back onto it so that I won't, fall into that slump to where it's 2 weeks, a month, or even more without me working in my business. And so, so even just thinking about, okay, let's do the weekend and just clean up the house. Oh, I got a 4-day to do a lot of stuff, gives me anxiety. And then it makes me think that if I don't do anything, I'm just going to continue not to do anything. So, I have to like break away from that thinking and say, let's just, do some things to where when I come home or wake up in the morning or whatever it may be, starting my business, that I feel comfortable in doing things like that. So literally from cleaning up your house to even if your house isn't like quote unquote junky or nasty or anything like that, just getting rid of things that you don't need could be huge, for mental clarity and everything like that. So you may be experiencing failures in one area of your life, but if you look closely at other areas of your life, it may be reflecting the same type of stuff, right? And it may not be like just because your house is junky, your car is junky, or it may not be so obvious, right? But it may be that because your house is junky, when you show up in your business, your mind isn't clear, right? Because it's cluttered, right? So it may be cluttered in a different way than your house. And so hopefully I'm not too loud. Might have to close my door. But basically just looking at areas and being absolutely aware of what's going on in your life and seeing if you can improve other things in your life in order to fix your business. Because a lot of times people are focused on business or money and things like that. And so because of that, you may want to stop looking at that area, look in areas outside of your business, outside of, money and things like that, and seeing what you can fix in order to fix other things, because your pretty much your reality of what you experience or what you have going on is a direct reflection of your mind, right? So you want to make sure you kind of fix that in every area. I see it sometimes. Sometimes I feel like I'm a brainiac at things, but also a complete mess, right? So like for instance, I could be crazy cool on the computer sometimes, depending on what it is. But if you look at if I share my desktop right now, you're probably like, what the heck? And like literally every now and then I'll just take everything on my desktop and throw it in a folder because it's mostly screenshots. But just looking at different areas from how many apps I have I think I have a goal to just get a new phone because my phone is garbage, but I have tons of apps on here. And like at one point I was trying to go crazy in my business and just use a whole bunch of them, but really I'm not using but a few apps on there. And one of the things in the training, look how many apps. One of the things in the training was just, even with your phone, just get rid of the stuff, right? Get rid of anything extra that you don't need in your life, period. And once you do that, it can start replicating throughout your life, business, physical health, finances, things like that. So.
Well, and some of the things too that is causing as far as clutter in your life, it's slowing your phone down, right? It's causing you to have to search and search and search to find stuff. So it makes you a lot less effective because, you got to hold on to that in your brain. Sure, maybe you remember where it's at, right? I remember a lot of stuff, where it's at, how many flips to go, right? But that's all taken mental power. I have a place where all of my stuff goes. We've talked about this before too with the kitchen and how I have places where everything in the kitchen goes. Now, if Kristi puts away the dishes, I got to refine some stuff. And then, so that causes some struggles in the kitchen when I'm in there. But the same thing with your desktop too. I'm now, I was a computer programmer, so I'm a little more conscious of where to put stuff on my computer. So my desktop is pretty clean. But the same thing, if you don't ever, all those screenshots should go places so you can find them easy when if you need to find them again. A lot of those don't end up being should probably be saved at all. But some of those things will really increase your effectiveness, like you say, getting rid of that stuff, or just becoming in the habit of never even keeping it, period, because it's just, I mean, there's a good chance some of the problems of your computer is all those things stuffed in those folders, right? Your main drive is a lot smaller than typical, so you're clogging up your drive, and you're affecting your memory and all kinds of weird stuff, right? So even those little things, putting your car keys, hanging them on the clip, so that you know where they're at. I never lose my car keys. I never lose my phone. I always know where it's at. Kristi's all the time losing her phone. Nothing against her. She just doesn't have the ADD problems like I do. And so she doesn't need to put stuff like places like I do as much. My ADD, my OCD really causes me to need that. I keep a very clean desk too, because I don't like to function in a messy area. I don't do well with it. Some of that may be training from McDonald's. We had to keep our areas really clean. We had to keep everything organized really well, because someone's coming in right behind you and working all the time. So especially when you're in those kinds of environments, my job 2 jobs ago, 4 of us shared the same desk. So we had to keep a real clean desk, because otherwise we're flowing over into other people's lives too. So just some little things like that. And, Jim Rohn's mentor said that his mentor asked him where his list of goals was. And we've talked about this a few times too, is he guessed within a few $100s of how much his bank account was because of the size of his list of goals. So it's the same kind of thing, not making your bed, not getting up and having a routine flows over into those goals, flows over into your bank account, flows over into your weight, flows over into all of that stuff. If you're not consistent with your working out, Jim Rohn said, you can't pay somebody to do your push-ups for you. You have to do your own push-ups.
Boo. No, I'm just kidding. Boo, Jim Rohn. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. It's one of the things that hopefully people watching tonight, hopefully they get is sometimes this stuff, and I mentioned it before, it may just become kind of like something a school teacher may have said to them when they were in school, or maybe their parents went into their room when they were kids and told them to clean up the room or whatever. So it may come as a like, oh yeah, we're supposed to keep our room clean. Oh yeah, we're supposed to do this and that. And it may lose its value. But one of the reasons why I think it's important for us to understand this is because it's so much more powerful. Like when we first become aware of what is around us, what is happening around us, we may start identifying things that are preventing us from success. So for instance, it's like sometimes you may you may hear it in people's language to begin with, right? So if you have somebody that come in the office and say, oh, this always happens to me, this always happens to me, it may be stuff that it always happens to you for a reason, right? And I'm not a person, knock on some wood tonight, but I'm not a person that has a ton of car issues. But remember the I don't even like to say it, the flat tire thing, right? And then I recently had issues with the alternator. I don't think I told y'all that. So I had issues with the alternator. I just had to get that replaced, right? But it was very weird that I noticed that after the situation happened with the alternator, I'm noticing a pattern in myself that I pick up on signs, I pick up on things, and I kind of, you know what I mean? And so after the alternator was messed up, I was like, well, what were the signs? I got gnats, y'all. Sorry. What were the signs that actually told me that my alternator was going bad? Well, first of all, when I told y'all I'm horrible with cars and I need to change my language and go take a car class or something, whatever they called it, Hobby Lobby or something. But I need to educate myself on cars, and I didn't know like if the battery comes on, it has to be like it's most likely like the alternator. And I just thought battery light, like that's weird. I just got my battery changed. Got to be something else, right? So I was like, I'll wait till Saturday to take it in just to see, because, you know, the battery should be good. Well, Friday, the car just died completely, took me off the road, right? It was almost off the road on the flight line. But my point is, after the situation was done, I got the car fixed, and I was like, well, what's the signs that alternators are going bad? You know, I was wondering if I saw them. It was like the smell of rubber. I was like, I did smell that once. And I was like, that's weird. Let's see if I smell it again, instead of saying, hey, you know, I'm smelling burnt rubber on my car, even if it was just one time. Can y'all take a look at it? And that was probably weeks ago, right? And the battery light coming on, knowing what the alternator does when it goes out, especially on the road, that could be life-threatening, right? And so literally just being more proactive about little signs that I pick up and not brushing it off. So now, hopefully, Jim, you hold me to this, right? When I do sense something, smell something or whatever, I'm not in a predicament where I'm out of transportation and I got to call somebody. I literally say, you know, what is that? Either I look it up or I call the folks, right? Knowing my background, I call the folks like, hey, this is happening. Can I bring it in? Right. And that could have prevented me from a whole shenanigans of possibly wrong millions of dollars for the Air Force. Because literally I was on the flight line, the path you go on the flight line, losing control of the car, right? Freaking out, like, please don't come arrest me. I'm just losing control of this car, right? So they have lights where the plane comes down. They have all that set up where I'm going towards, and most importantly, risking my life, right? Because it's all water after you pass the lights and the grass, right? It's just nothing but, you know, the Gulf Coast, right? So literally it could have led to bigger things. I just thank God that I was right there where I was at, not on the highway. But, you know, just looking at different things, like what is happening to you before the big situations. And sometimes it could be like, most of the times it's more obvious, right? So if you just take finances, for instance, if you're just continuously being late on bills, that's a big issue, right? So you might need to just like sit back and say, okay, I'm always late for these damn bills. What do I need to do to get back on track so I won't get into further, further mess? Because eventually those small things are really huge problems, right? So that's just one of my personal experiences from this past week, where I was like, I probably should have called, you know, even though, but my mindset was kind of like, well, if I keep smelling this, you know, then maybe I'll call, like, or maybe it's another car, but there's no cars around me. Like just making it make sense to me,
if
you know?
I keep smelling this, it should be okay, right?
Right.
It's smelling the same way.
Mm-hmm. So literally just being aware of what's going on and being aware of how you react, and then changing that reaction and how you react to problems and things that could seem like a small problem, because smelling rubber may seem like a small problem, but eventually, you know, thank God it didn't go to this. It could have been life-threatening.
Right.
Like, yeah.
Try not to let procrastination set in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, a good point on this is, you don't necessarily have to learn it, right? You could pay it away. You can pay somebody to do it. Mm-hmm. Not everything has to be done ourselves. But there's definitely, you know, again, in the military, we learned to do a walk around, make sure that we don't have flat tires. You know, who does that? You know, we don't do that really much outside of our life. But if we did, maybe we'd notice a week or two ahead of time that our tires going flat. You know, of course, now our cars have digital readouts that tell us, you know, our tire pressure is low and all that kind of stuff. You know, so some of those things we don't need as much. But the point is here is that you don't need to know as much if you just pay a little attention, right? And think about, why is this happening to me? And maybe, like you're saying too, why is this always happening to me? Is it some of my wording? Is it, you know, some negativity I'm putting, you know, probably you're not causing your car to break down because of negativity, but you could be causing other problems in your life, you know, pushing people away from you, or bringing the wrong people towards you with your negative words, or stuff like that. So that's, you know, little subtle things creep in, all kinds of different ways. You know, the people you hang around, the people you don't hang around. Jim Rohn again talked about, be sure to be in a tough crowd, right? Because if you're in a crowd with people that are above you, that are always striving to do more, you'll tend to try to keep up. And if you're in an easy crowd, a crowd that's never going anywhere or doing anything, you'll tend to do less and less, so you got to be careful who you hang around too. Let's do a little what we're actually here for and show what the website and that kind of stuff. So let me share my screen real quick. Not that we're actually here for the website, but the reason that we come here every Thursday is to share a little bit about our business and what we're doing in our business. So over here, you may be on a website that looks something like this. And right here is how you can get involved with our business. And we talk about our business every Thursday. We give a little bit of insight on what it is we're doing. If you click this button, you can see a video here about the
hey, what's going on? My name is Mike Hobbs.
About the $3,000 per month formula. And basically Mike Hobbs, the co-founder of our company, shows you how with a very small amount of customers, you can make $3,000 a month because we earn 80% commissions inside of this business. And we have multiple items so we have a low entry fee, a low entry price, and then a high dollar price, so that as people go through our system, you learn and make more money by selling only one system instead of jumping from thing to thing to thing. And that's why me and Robbin and everybody else that's come on here week after week have been in this same business for years, because we don't need to look for anything else because everything's included here. So that's one thing that we have. And then down here on the bottom is the book that we talk about quite a bit, the 30-minute workday book. Robbin mentioned 30-minute workday earlier. And this book has basically everything that you need to know about how to run a small business, or how to run a big business, really. A business from home, or it will go into a whole lot of strategies for business offline, and the whole kit and caboodle. Talks about affiliate marketing mostly, but we use these principles in, Kristi uses these principles in her baking business. She uses these principles in her membership site. So all of the principles in this book, and this book is completely free. Click this button right here, and it'll come straight over to the inside of the book, and you can start reading it. The first 12 pages are amazing, the invisible step, and it will tell you about what you're here for, what your purpose is, the invisible steps to life, basically. Down at the bottom of the book is the one-page affiliate marketing formula. Did I miss it? Looks like I missed it. Here it is right there. And I think this is a really important page 179, because it shows you a lot of what we're talking about right now, about you don't have to do every step of the process. You don't have to cover from the beginning to the end. You can have people fill in some of the spots that you don't know as well and still profit, especially when you're making 80% commissions using the HBA products as your affiliate marketing product inside of this one-page affiliate marketing summary. So anyways, that's some information about that. I don't know how much we're going to go into this type of stuff tonight, but I wanted to show that. And I wanted to go back and show also, we do have a chat under the screen here. If you have a question, whether you're here live or on a replay, type your question in right here, and we will get back to you sometime in the week and answer if it's a complicated question. We can answer on the next week's live. We do this every Thursday night at 8 o'clock. That's all I got. Robbin, where you want to go from here?
So we're not going to go like strictly into like business, like you said. But I think it's also important for people to understand that if they have beliefs about their business, beliefs about themselves or their selves, whatever the proper grammar is, that it's okay if you failed in the past. It's okay if you never had success. I've been trying to kill this gnat for an hour. Sorry. It's okay if you never had success. It's okay if people told you that you suck. Like literally, all of that is okay because some of the reasons why we're sharing this type of information with you, and I mean like the previously mindset stuff, is because you really literally have that power to change things. And I'm not really sure if we like kind of gave that message off. So like, yeah, we said you can improve by cleaning up other areas of your life, but you can also improve by not only just being aware, but creating a new story. And that's huge for me because a lot of us really need that, right? A lot of us need to create a new story based on what somebody told us we were good or bad at, when we were younger, right? And ultimately, if you have these little stories, big stories that were told to you, that were given to you when you were coming up and being conditioned, you can literally rewrite those stories. And so it's just a lot of things that we were told that we took as truth, and we need to rewrite our truths. So basically, consider reality. I wrote down a quote too. Consider reality as something that just it's feedback. So all reality is really feedback, and it's beautiful because it allows you to go and change that reality, right? Change it to what you actually want it to be. And so, one of the quotes I wrote down by what I said the guy name was. I forget his name that quick. That's a shame. But a quote by a guy that I'm listening to right now is called, it's stated, reality is an extremely popular delusion. And I thought that was amazing when he said that. So reality is an extremely popular delusion. And that's by Sam Ovens. Just got his name in my head. I just started like kind of listening to him pretty frequently. And I thought that was like amazing, like one of the most amazing quotes that I heard in quite a while, because sometimes we take reality as what is, but really we need to be treating it as feedback and creating the stories that we want to experience in the future. And so don't get upset if you haven't had success in a long time. You've just been told for a long time that this is not the way to go. You need to change some things up. So don't be upset if you've been failing at a certain skill or discipline or anything like that. I got him. I'm horrible. People think I'm so gross when I kill gnats, but I think they're like the least grossest bugs in the world. So, but don't be caught up in the what was or what is right now. But literally use that as feedback. And I think we mentioned this on another call before, is that a lot of people say, oh, I failed at this, I failed that, but I failed at this or that. But failure is literally a feedback, right? It's not failure, it's just feedback. It's just an opportunity for you to make adjustments in whatever you're doing to move forward. So I think this is important for people to understand, because especially in our industry, we're all over the place in our industry. It's ridiculous on how many ways you can fail and why you can fail and all this other stuff. And when reality, it's another than that. Oh my gosh. When reality, it's all pretty simple, I think. And sometimes we tend to stray away. I know I do. I've done it for years and I still do it. Not as bad as I've done it for years, meaning I may not jump from company to company, but I may jump from strategy to strategy and things like that. So in our industry, so many different ways that you can, go off straight. But really, I think it's simplicity and keeping our mind on the vision and the experience that we actually want to experience. Some of the things, and I'm going to stop talking for a second to let you go, Jim, but some of the things that actually had me thinking about this lately is some of my success throughout my life, because it really was opposite of what people think you should be doing. So one of my early successes or breakthroughs, I would say, was that I was able to have 11 sales in 1 month. And prior to that, I had like 0, right? And then I had like this one sale finally after 10 years of being online. But the crazy thing to me is that a lot of times people say hustle, work hard, do all this stuff. And I believe that it takes hard work to, get to where you want to be, or at least work to get to where you want to be. But what happened then didn't make sense. And sometimes what happened at other times doesn't make sense in our logical so-called reality world. Meaning, how could I have busted my behind for so long trying to find the answer and doing all this stuff online, not make a single sale, to going to working a couple hours a day, going out and enjoying myself downtown Japan, getting on roller coasters, having fun at clubs at night and all this other stuff, and make so many sales, more sales than I have in the last 10 years, however long I was online, right? Before I started making that breakthrough. It doesn't make sense, right? So I believe that a lot of what we're actually trying to do is really what we're supposed to be doing is alignment. And that's a whole nother subject, but being aligned with what we're doing, meaning being happy with where we're at and enjoying life and all this other stuff. But it's not what we were taught. So if I'm taught to hustle, and I'm doing it, I'm not getting results. Why am I getting results when I hustle for a little bit of time during the day, go out and enjoy myself, and then I get results, right? What is actually taking place, on an unseen level to allow that to happen, right? And even I experience it on a negative level and a positive level in my business. Sometimes my business could be eerily quiet, like creepily quiet. And it's just like, okay, so it's almost like I can feel it, right? And I might take a nice slump, right? And then when I have a up to my business, I'm not doing much more than I was doing when I was taking a whole bunch of action, right? And not experience the same amount of success. If you think about it, or if you experience it, like if you have slumps going up and down, I want you to kind of think about what were you doing that made a huge difference when you were going up. It probably wasn't much difference. And that means it's really an inner work versus outer work that's going on. Kind of like you said, I wasn't causing my car. I don't know. Maybe I was. I don't know. Maybe I took that smell and was saying, hopefully nothing's terribly wrong with my car or whatever. Or maybe I just needed to fix the issue. But basically, sometimes it's our inner, I think probably 99.9% of the time. And I think this for my own experience. But I think 99.999% of the time is our inner work. And that 1% is probably like when I came across The Secret, which changed my life. But I look back on that situation and I feel like I wasn't at that mindset to attract that type of information, if that makes sense. Like I was feeling so much at a slump that I felt like it had to be something on the outer realm to bring that information to me. But other than that, I think everything that we do depends on how we see our business, how we see our relationships, results, our belief in ourselves. Things that people told us, we have to just rewrite that content. So hopefully I didn't go on too much of a tangent, but I think that's just huge in general, just literally, work on what we want to see and rewrite our brain. I think that's the huge thing that we need to do in anything that we want to succeed in.
No, I think that's really good stuff. And I think, I think a lot of people don't really realize, like you said, rewriting your story. I don't think a lot of people realize that now is really the only time there is, right? If we can draw on the past, like you said, it's feedback, it's telling you a story, but that's really all it is. It's not reality. It's just a story. And it's either maybe it's the right story, maybe it's not the right story. If you had failure, like a lot of people will say that Thomas Edison had 10,000 failures before he made the light bulb. I don't know how many failures he actually had, but he said those were all just tests. Those were all just opportunities to learn that this is how to not make a light bulb.
Feedback.
Right? So, feedback, right? you said feedback many times, but I wanted to use another word there so that the people that didn't understand that had a different way to view it. But yeah, feedback. It's just something telling you, hey, this isn't working, right? Or the other way, hey, this is working, so keep doing this, right? And I think that's really important to know. And we'll go back to Jim Rohn again too on something else you said. Sometimes you have most of the idea. Sometimes it's like a combination. You have 4 or 5 of the digits and you just need one more. You don't need all of it to unlock the code, to unlock the information, whatever that is. You only need that last little bit, and that can happen just in one moment. And that can be, like you mentioned the word breakthrough. Your breakthrough can be in a momentary instant, because maybe that 10 years is what led you there, but that 10 years was everything that it took to be at that moment, to be down far enough that when you saw the secret, you were like, man, that's what I really need right now. You know, maybe you were attracted to it, sure, but you may have saw that book 100 other times and never got the moment that you got at that moment.
Actually,
pick it up. Go ahead.
Actually, I didn't see the book, but years later, I found a book that I bought through a direct marketing company, and it was the same information. So I literally attracted it years ago and had it sitting on my shelf, and I was like, holy crap. I was like, this is crazy that this information was sitting on my shelf. And I thought that maybe that it could have been, instead of this outside source trying to help me, I thought maybe it was just, maybe it's some type of law where the desire is so strong that you'll just pull it towards you. You just have to have that open mind to see it. So those are my 2 theories.
Well, and you mentioned reality, and there's, you could take all kinds of takes on reality, because I don't believe in it at all, right? Reality is, like you said, is really only whatever story you're telling yourself, because our reality has nothing whatsoever to do with Bill Gates's reality or Elon Musk's reality, right? If he wants something, he just pays for it. It don't matter what it is. He's got billions of dollars. His reality doesn't look like our reality whatsoever. He's in the same reality, right? But his situation is so much different that his life is not even remotely close to ours. And all you have to do is decide. Now, is it that easy? No, it's not really that easy, but it's that simple. You just decide to change and you move in that direction. You apply some of these principles we talked about. Make your bed in the morning, right? If you're not a person that makes your bed, make your bed. See if that makes a difference in your life. If nothing else, you'll probably find that the dog doesn't drag as much stuff underneath the blankets, right? So that's one of the major reasons I make my bed, is because otherwise there's dirt in there from the dog piling up in the bed and snuggling up under the blankets, so
I'll have to practice that when I retire. Most of the time my wife's still in it, so
most of the time she's making the bed.
No, she's still in there, yeah, when I get up. I was like, I will say that I don't know, horrible, I guess. And when I was at tech school, no, it was at another military school. I was like, look, I'm getting service every day at my hotel. I'm not making my bed. And I'm just like, but it felt great when I came back because the bed was still made. So I guess it depends on what kind of reality you want to live.
I love going to a hotel because I don't make the bed in the hotel for some reason. There, I know that they're going to do it. So why should I do it?
Right.
But like in Iraq, man, I would always make my bed because you don't know what's going to climb in there if you don't. I mean, it's some protection.
You still got to shake it out. I shake stuff out here. I'm like, what's in this? Like, this place is crazy. Never know. My shoes, everything.
That's funny. What else can we talk about? There was some other things that bubbled up. I think you covered most everything.
You brought up discipline. I think that's a huge part of it. As far as like, okay, now that we identify things, what are you going to do about it? And are you going to stick to what you need to do to identify it? So for instance, discipline for me would kind of be like, okay, when I identified things that aren't right or are signs that something could be wrong, discipline for me will be like, okay, I need to immediately call the car place. And, and it may not just be my car. I need, like, what am I doing? What else am I doing in my life to, like, right now, I was like, I need to probably call about this light in this bathroom, because a lot of times I flip it on and it goes off. And I'm like, cut it off, cut it back on. And it comes on. I'm like, cool. But one day it's going to leave me in the dark. Like, it's a sign that it's going to leave me in the dark. Like, will it come on this time? Okay, it came on. So I'm good. Right. Or should I just call them and be like, hey, come change this light bulb or check out the wires. Right. So I literally thought about it before I came here, because I was like, let me go, I went to the bathroom, whatever, I flipped on the light, and I was like, this is like the car stuff that's going on, right? And so I like cut it off, and I was like, I probably need to call this. And it's been going on for quite a while now, right? But you never fruition, after you've seen those signs. So am I going to be like, yeah, I spent all weekend without a light because I never called, 9 months ago. So just, it could be signs that you're doing other things. I think I pretty much got almost every other thing fixed in the house. But I did go a while with the doorknob. Like, we had a doorknob that was going bad downstairs. And it was just kind of like, oh, this is annoying. Every time, this is annoying. This is annoying. We eventually got it fixed. But what if I had went till it came off? Then I have a unsecure house, right? So.
Well, and like today, actually a couple of days ago, I noticed that the air conditioner was dripping water. And normally I would just let it drip until finally I'm out there with the vacuum sucking it out, and the air conditioner is frozen, and I still got to end up calling the guy, right? So like, let's just call the guy.
Right. You're still gonna have to do it.
So the guy came out today, and then we went ahead and set it up. He's going to come out every 6 months and clean it so that I don't have to, so it's another one of those things that, hey, I'm not an air conditioning guy, right? So I could get up there and like I said, look, it's dripping across here and it's leaving some marks on the thing. And he's like, well, let me call and find out how much it's going to be. And he gives me a price, and it was way too high. But I was like, you know what? I don't want to get up in there. I'd rather let this young guy get up in there and fix this,
That's me in the cars when y'all was like, look at that battery. I was like, I'm looking at the battery, but that's all I can do is look at this battery.
I was like, I know I could fix this for like under $100, and he's telling me it's $265. And at first my mind's like, man, I can just get up there and fix it. I know it's not that big a deal, and then I'm like, no, you know what? I'm just not going to do it, because why get up in there and sure enough end up falling through or something and breaking a leg, and so I was like, even though it sounds ridiculously expensive, I'm going to let the professional do it this time, and have it taken care of. And so little things like that. And I think it still falls into discipline, right? Sure, I can change the filter every month, like needs to be done, and that falls under discipline, and I can do that. I don't like it because it's up in the ceiling too, and I got to drag a ladder out every month to do that. But if I don't do that, it won't last 6 months, and it's clogged up and frozen, So that discipline needs to be done, or the air conditioner stops working, And that's the same thing in all of the rest of life and business. If you can take a day off or a week off, but if you take a month off or 2 months or 6 months, your business is going to suffer. It's a lot like your garden, right? If you weed it every day, seems almost silly. There's only 2 weeds, but if you wait a week, now it's so far gone that now you don't want to weed it at all. And then a month or 2 goes by, and it's like, I got to call somebody because
the weed all strong is grown into a tree. I've been there where I'm like digging up half of the darn bed because the weed is like stronger than me now. Yeah, I think it's definitely huge. And you reminded me I need to go pull my weeds this weekend because I'm like, what? I guess I probably, this is another thing. Sometimes in our lives, we actually just go and do something and probably really don't know much about what we're doing versus learning about that thing being disciplined and say, okay, let me sit here and watch this. And it sounds silly, but I might have to Google how to pull weeds, right? Because I'm like, these weeds, and I just pulled these weeds. They didn't grew crazy already outside. So am I like really getting down and dirty enough with these weeds? Am I wasting my time by pulling? Am I spreading the roots or something? I may just have to take a shovel and just dig that whole bed up and put down some topsoil so I don't have to keep, pulling up all of these weeds. I had weeds that didn't even show up last year that showed up. So I pulled those up because I actually waited till they got a little crazy. So I pulled them up like, yeah, I'm gonna get the roots, obviously I probably created more roots or something because this is like a spread of them like out there just laughing at me. And so just looking at what you're doing and making sure it makes sense, learning about the things that you're doing. A lot of times we go out there and we just say, this industry is a great example. We just say, let's go make money. Like, okay, if it was that easy, everybody will be doing it. So how about you learn how to make money online, right? And that could be a huge issue. Sometimes it might not just be the mindset thing, but it could be your discipline to go out there and learn about something and implement it and keep implementing it over and over again to get to the result that you want, So a lot of times it's all mindset, but I think sometimes, like for me, my first breakthrough, it probably was definitely had a lot to do with mindset, but it also had a lot to do with being aware and basically knowing that, okay, you don't just show up and spit up on everybody and everything. You show up with a strategy, right? So I had to learn that, and then I had to be disciplined to do that strategy over and over again to see results. Had I just learned the strategy, did it 1-2 days, I wouldn't have seen results, and who knows where I would have been from there, but or how long it would have taken me to have that breakthrough. But basically just having that discipline to where you're doing it over and over and over again. I think that's huge.
I think that's great. And I think too, back to feedback, make sure that you're watching your feedback, look for your feedback, be recording it, because somebody posted a link in one of my groups the other day and literally just popped in. As soon as he came in, he's got no profile or nothing and just throws a link in there. And then I clicked on it and it's for a $497 product. And I'm like, you can't just throw a link in here and expect that you're going to make a sale on a product. Now, no fault to him, probably doesn't know that at all, right? But if you just do that and do that and do that, and that's all you do, and you never get any kind of result, you got to think about, especially if you're disciplined with it, you got to think about the feedback you're getting. Well, I'm doing this and I'm doing this and I'm doing this, and nothing's happening. This must not work, right? So that doesn't mean quit. It means, like you're saying, learn something about it, find out why this isn't working, and then improve. And if someone, like I commented, like this is one of the examples of what not to do, because you're never going to sell a $497 product by just dropping off a link in here without an active Facebook profile or anything. And then most people would probably take offense to that instead of actually listening and like going and downloading the book, right? And reading and learning about it. So
yeah, you can barely give away free stuff for doing it that way. Nobody looking at it like, what? Yeah.
I was
sounds shocked. Like a good lead. It sounds like a good lead.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy the path I've been on. And I know some people, maybe watching this or even just in the future, in the past, that actually been where I was at. And I mentioned it plenty of times where, like, if I had to rewrite my story, I don't think I would have struggled as long as I did. But one of the things that I know I would want to see if I go to war with somebody is somebody that went to war before, right? Like if I'm literally in the trenches with somebody, I don't want to be in the trenches with somebody that hasn't been through certain situations. Or, like I'd rather them go through it, have gone through it, versus somebody brand new coming in and just saying, hey, let's go to war, whatever. And I feel like it's kind of like that for me. And I've been able to go through so many stages in my business. And I think getting through from, the, hey, let's just do this, do that, stage to being aware was the big stage, right? Because once you go through that awareness stage, meaning your thoughts, like ultimately what we're saying on this call is that your thoughts become things, if you haven't picked up on that. So what you think actually comes to fruition, right? And if I hadn't went from that awareness stage to kind of like, hey, I can create my own reality, I could literally still be I could have like quit completely, or could have literally still been online, posting links everywhere, not knowing how to market anything. Like that's huge, because so many people in so different areas are still living in that stage where they don't become aware. And it's a process called metacognition, where you're actually aware of the things that you need to change in your life, right? That they haven't gone through that stage yet. They're just out there. Like literally, to me, it's like hell, like just to be blunt, right? It would be like hell for me not to have shifted from that stage where I wasn't aware of things to, hey, I suck at this right now, but, I'm aware. And in order to change it, I can create a new story, create new thoughts, create new results for my business, right? And, like sometimes, I don't get into biblical stuff at all, but sometimes I think that's like the definition of hell, not being able to conquer the mind, right? And, I just would not want to wish that on my worst enemy, to be stuck in the place that I was stuck at. I felt like I was a good person. I was a hard worker, but just not knowing the power that we have into changing the things into our reality, I wouldn't want to wish that on my worst enemy. So I think it's powerful and huge.
Well, and they say that that's one definition of insanity, right? Is to keep doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting a different result.
Exactly.
Right? So I would put that right along with hell pretty easily, so
definitely.
I think we covered a lot of cool stuff tonight. If anyone that's watching, wants to get more information about the business that we're in, we're already at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, I forgot to refresh the page. No, nothing there. Nothing there.
There's a red button down underneath of this video that says discover our surprisingly lucrative formula. And it's very easy to make a pretty high monthly income because of the percentage of commission that you make, because of the amount of money that you make up front. It goes well with any business. All of our tools work together with your business. So we never want anyone to quit anything that they're doing. This is just additional income to add to whatever you're doing and to learn more about what you're doing and what else you could do, and that's what we really like about this business is it goes right along with your network marketing. It goes right along with your Herbalife or whatever it is that you're doing, and actually helps you grow both businesses simultaneously. So push that button, look into that, and be sure to download the book down below, the 30-Minute Workday book, and read it. Read the whole thing a couple of times and you'll learn a lot about whatever industry you're in. Like I said, it is heavy on affiliate marketing, but it applies, I believe, to all industries out there. So download that, and then we will see you next week at the same time, 8 o'clock. And we usually have a different topic. Maybe we'll go into some tech stuff next week. We haven't done that in a while. So perhaps that's what we'll do. Robbin, I appreciate you joining me. I'm glad I wasn't here by myself tonight.
Me too.
All right. I'll see you soon.
All righty.
All right.